Okay, hello everybody. I thought I would do an orientation video with you in order to give what I hope to be a solid overview of how not just this class works, but how online at HUC is taken care of. First and foremost, there are three ways classes are dealt with. DLON, which is what this is, DLive C, and then what's known as traditional or face-to-face classes. This one, DLON, that means it's entirely online. There's no live lectures. There's like a great amount of student-driven learning. So you don't have a lot of connection with me. It's really not a lot of direct connection with me. There's no day and time to meet. There's no classroom to go to. There's no live lectures of any kind, that sort of idea. The DLive C, as opposed to the DLON, does have live meetings. It's still online. Everything's done online. You can do the class wherever you like, but there are like a Tuesday, Thursday at 9 o'clock where you would meet people. And so, yeah, again, like every Thursday, you would come to me at 9 o'clock. We would go with the material. Usually this class is like 9 to 10:40, that kind of idea, an hour and 40 minutes. And then you go off, do what you need to do, homework and read the books, that kind of idea. And I meet on Tuesday again, that kind of idea, not here. And then, of course, traditional is just that. It's face-to-face. Every Tuesday and Thursday, you would come to class and you would have lecture. So this is a little bit of a different way to do things. It's very much on your shoulders. I'll be here to help and guide and interact as much as I can. And there will be a few times you have to interact. There has to be some participation in that regard, direct participation. And I'll show you what that means when I go over the syllabus. So for the moment, you can see here the main web page to your class is the main Canvas Hello page, your home page. And so general information, the course name, the section number, that kind of idea. Lovely, lovely. There are two orientation videos here. This is set down by the college, not by me, but they're great videos to show you again how the system works. So click on this. There you go. You can see it opens up. This is obviously the Canvas overview. You obviously click play and you're good to go. Lovely music too. I kind of get a kick out of it. It's very nice and cheery music.
In this video, you will learn how to navigate your dashboard, courses, and global navigation menu in Canvas.
There you go. Cool, eh? And then they have another one that is dealing with the resources for Canvas. So here you go. Same thing. Click on that. Push play, and you are on your way. Same kind of lovely introductory music.
In this video, you will learn about the help resources available in Canvas.
There you go. Take time if you're unfamiliar with Canvas to watch these videos. They're not very long and to get a good idea what's going on. Beyond these general information videos, I've said, here's how to approach things. So they're getting started. Download the course syllabus. There's a files link I'll show you. They're all here on the obviously left side of your Canvas pane. Check your announcements and check them daily. That includes weekends. I had a student a few semesters ago who seemed rather surprised with the fact that they had to check announcements outside of class days. So again, it was like a Tuesday, Thursday class. And she was like, well, if it's not on a Tuesday or a Thursday, I shouldn't have to check anything. Yes, you do. You need to check it every single day, including weekends. Life is messy, life is busy, things could happen all the time. And we need to give you information. I tend to be a rather communicative professor, and therefore you need to check regularly. This isn't high school. This isn't K through 12. College is an entirely different game. And if you're not familiar with it, maybe this is new to you, please be aware. So with that, with me being rather communicative, the announcements link is right here. I already have 3 announcements for you. Look at that. So the first class session, which is really what this is, this first day of class. Hopefully that means Monday the 10th, the very first day of this class. But maybe you see it on a Tuesday or Wednesday of this coming week, that kind of idea. So it's pretty much everything I'm going to talk about in this video. But in case you missed the video, you don't see us there, whatever it is, here it is all here. Take time to read through everything I post, read it carefully, and then ask any questions that you might have. So notice it talks about DLONs, about the COVID issue, Teams. Even in my syllabus, I have a section on how to deal with Microsoft Teams. I gave you the link here on instructions on how to use Teams. Again, syllabus and posted notes and the labs and the folders, they're all there for you. I'll show you that as we go through this little video. Again, what DLON is about, how to deal with homework. There's your lab issue. This is a C course. There will be labs to deal with. Again, read the syllabus carefully and thoroughly. Now, this is a bit of an issue. Before we all got thrusted into teaching online, I had never done it before, although I thought about it, but I'd never done it before. And then COVID happened, and then there was nothing but online. So yeah, I'd taken a few classes, but outside of, be generally aware of what online's about, a lot of us were nowhere near ready. It's just kind of like, new world, good luck. And so we've tried our best. Because I didn't know, the first thing I had was, I took my syllabus I had in traditional, I used it in online. I've been using that kind of syllabus for years, and they evolved throughout the time, but it was always around 5 pages or so. And then all of a sudden, people started having issue with it, even though I had no issues with it, that I remember at least. In traditional, suddenly students had issue with it in the online. And the biggest criticism I got was, it's just not thorough enough. You're not in front of us. We're not with you. We're not hearing a lot. So give us more. Okay. So I sit down and I thought about, okay, well, what is it that I usually say on a syllabus day? All the stuff I talk about and all the stuff I throw in. And I pretty much put all that into my syllabus. And I went from 5 pages. I think your syllabus is like 16 pages. Thorough. Yeah. And for the vast majority of students, that's fine. They seem to have no problems. I mean, the syllabus, it's there. It's in the syllabus. It really is. But I had a few that turned it around. I got really grumpy with it. Oh, now it's too long. And it's too thorough. And it's too dense. And I can't read my way through it. If you're having that kind of issue, there are other things going on. We need to talk about that. But try to read it and read it thoroughly. And then ask questions. Yeah, I still get questions like, I don't know how many exams there are. Really? Did you go to the examination section and you look right down there and in bolded and italicized, it says things like there will be 5 exams in the class, that kind of idea? Oh, which tells me they didn't read the syllabus. So again, read it first, then ask questions. I even stuck at the end of the syllabus frequently asked sections so you can go and see, well, has it already been asked? Before you waste your time, my time, everything, asking the question. And like, if you've read it thoroughly and read the sections carefully, then you have questions and ask me, sure, of course. And so I talk about how to approach material, how to approach questions, how to answer things. All this is here for you. I already give it all there for you, including reference to this video you're watching. Now, if you're watching the video, you don't really need the link there. But if you didn't see that there was a video and you went and saw the announcement, you check there. And heck, just in case you didn't bother to read all the way down through this and didn't see that there's an orientation video, go back to your announcements. I decided then to give you an announcement orientation video. What do you know? There it is. So again, I tend to be very communicative, inclusive of the fact that you are required to send me an email from your HCC email to my HCC email saying you want to stay in the class. Again, so I put an announcement even on that, even though it's in your syllabus. I know you're going to read the syllabus, right? Even though I'm going over it right now with you today. So again, as I said, let's go back to the homepage. As I said on the homepage, check your announcements and check them regularly, including on the weekends. Of course, I talk about the files link. There it is there. Everything you're going to need is in there. I'll go over with you momentarily. Again, how to access your book. Oh, this should be Macmillan, not McGraw-Hill. My apologies. I will amend that. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're using, as far as I know, a Macmillan book. So I will amend that. No worries. These things happen. And then, of course information again, and my contact information. And of course, my name, my proper HCC email. No, this is HCCFL, not Hawkmail. This is my main email, which means send me emails only from your Hawkmail to this email address. Don't send me an email from any other system, even if it's not edu like USF. Do not do that, or a Gmail, or I don't know, a Yahoo account. I don't care what it is. Only use your Hawkmail to email me. And then remember, email courtesy in the US. That's 24 to 48 hours to get back to somebody, not 24 minutes. But I've had students do that. I wrote you an email, you haven't replied. Why? It's been an hour. Where are you? Well, first off, I've been in class probably, so I haven't even gotten the email. This is the first I've seen. But second, that is not how email protocol in the US works. And this is inclusive on weekends. Maybe it's a bit of a surprise to you, but we actually have a life. At least we try to. So a lot of us have families in, and weekends, we're going to be dealing with, we do a family all the time, certainly, but it's often like dedicated to family on the weekend. On top of the fact, we have a lot of stuff to do for the college outside of even just teaching, including things like taking classes. So we are very busy, which means if you send me an email, it's going to take time to get back to you. I have hundreds of people I have to deal with. You have students and faculty, administrators, people outside the college. It's all sorts of things we're dealing with. So if I have an office hours, let's say ends on Friday at 1 p.m., and you send me an email at 12:55 p.m., and hey, I sent you an email before office hours, and why didn't you reply? I didn't even get the email. And even then, if I did, I do it as a first come, first serve, like I would any office hours. And so if I got 20 emails in front of me and I know it's not an emergency, I may not even see it until Monday. And even then, it's Monday. I've got to get into teaching and get my classes and finally have a chance to reply to you. So again, work with us. Now, I know you're using your HCC email to send me a message, yeah? And even when you do, sometimes I don't get emails. I'll have to say that, well, I sent you 2 emails, you didn't reply. I probably didn't get the email. I can't even tell you how many times this happened. Even if you use your Hawkmail, I still didn't get the email. Welcome to technology. And so there are other ways to contact us. You can use my telephone. It's in the syllabus, my HCC telephone number. Show you that in a moment. Or you can send me a message through Microsoft Teams. Sure, why not? Or you can route me a message to the dean's office. Or check tech support Faculty do not have any ability to go into a system and look at tech issues. We cannot do that. If you are having an HCC technical issue, you've got to deal with that on your own. If you're having a Canvas issue, click this link right here. Only Canvas technical support can help you. So it's not that I'm being rude or I'm not replying to emails. I never got the thing. Now, granted, sure, I get a lot of emails. Have there been times I miss an email? Of course, and I apologize. And then I see another one come in, say, I sent you an email 2 days ago, I didn't reply, so I'm trying again. I will be as quick as I can to get back to you. And oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the email. I apologize. Here's what we need to do. I'll answer your questions, whatever it is. Work with us and we'll work with you. Okay, so again, a lot of great stuff on the introductory page. There's, again, your announcements page. Check this regularly, again, including weekends. Let's go to your files page. So your files page, pretty much everything you need in the course is here. Now, this is something that comes from the college. By the way, for anything you open in Canvas, I recommend you right-click and go to open a new link. You can do it by clicking directly, but for me, this works a bit better. Now, pretty much anything I post is PDF. Because it's PDF, it uses Adobe Acrobat. Remember, Acrobat is free. Download it and use it. Do you not send me a tech issue? Say, well, I can't get Adobe to work. Okay, did you talk to Adobe? Because I can't help you. I'm not a tech issue. And I'm not tech support in any way. So talk to Adobe. But Adobe's free. You should be able to use it in Mac and Windows. It doesn't matter. And this is from the college again, just saying, hey, this is what it takes to be a good online student. Great, read it on your own. But it's a nice thing that the college gave for you. So let's go to syllabus. Let's start there. A lot to talk about there. Again, right-click on it, open up a new tab. There you go. And you should get the syllabus. There you go. Excellent. So again, course information and my contact information. Now, this is my office at the Maybury campus. I'm there. I'm going to be there on Tuesdays and Thursdays of this week. That's it. I do not have to be there on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I might be around, but don't walk up on a Monday and say, hey, I came looking for you, weren't there. All right, sorry. Tuesday and Thursday. And this is where I'll be. Now, I have a lot of classes that day. I have other meetings to go to. I'm one of the advisors at the engineering clubs. I'll be around a lot of places. So you might try me during my office hours. And even then, sometimes during office hours, we get called out. If my dean says, hey, I want to talk to you. Okay, I'm coming. Sorry that I wasn't in my office during office hours, but my boss asked to talk with me. Sorry about that. Or who knows, maybe I need to use a restroom. Humans need to do that once in a while. So I'll get back as quick as I can. Sorry about that. It happens. By the way, if there's somebody already in my office during office hours, my door will be open. You'll see that. Don't just walk in. They're obviously there before you. You can very politely and patiently wait until that student's done. And then you can come in and ask any questions you have, whatever you need to deal with. There are seats in the hallway, grab a seat. But I've had students do that. Students talking with me, the door's open, of course. I don't close doors when students are in the office. And they just walk right in and drop down. No, that is incredibly inappropriate. Don't do that. And the conversation might be a bit of a private one. Now, I won't close doors. I'm not permitted to do that. I will not do that. But a student might be asking about grade issues. You should not be coming in and including yourself in that kind of conversation. No. If you have a grade issue, you can ask that when it's your turn in office hours, kind of idea. You can see my office phone number there. Now, again, office hours. You say, well, I called you during office hours. You didn't pick up. Yeah, several reasons. There might have been a student there before you. If they were before you, I'm going to deal with them before I pick up my phone because I'm going to check the number. If it's not like my dean or my wife or somebody, sorry, I don't know who you are. And this person was there before you. Second, maybe the office hours end by the time the student's done. Some students take a long time. That's fine. And they were there before you. I don't have time then to deal with the phone that came in, the phone message. I've got to go to class or whatever it is. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. This is kind of working the same as a 24 to 48 hours idea, including weekends. And now office hours, I'll show you that in the syllabus. Now, these course intended outcomes, these are set down not by a professor, but by the college. So if you do not like what's listed in any course intended outcomes, don't get mad at the professor. This is what the college feels you should be doing in the course. So if you don't like it, there's only a couple of things you can do. One, find a different class. That's really all you can do. Second, grin and bear it, because it's what the college wants you to do. And this is a non-major class, so there are other great non-major courses, nutrition and drugs, human reproduction and inheritance, anatomy, physiology, that's considered non-major, but it's really a major course, kind of keep that in mind. I don't know, human biology, introduction to general biology, that kind of idea. There's a number of classes you could take if you don't like this. But this is what they want you to do, and it is a lot. When I teach this as like face-to-face, or I teach this, like D-Live C, where you have live lectures, that kind of idea. It is tough in a term to get through all this. So it's thorough. You'll see that in your textbook. There's a whole lot of stuff to get through in the textbook. That's okay. Now, let's go back real quick to the introduction, the titling here in particular. you need to be aware there are really three avenues that could be taken in this kind of subject matter. One is through ecology, second is through environmental science, and the third is the environmentalist. The ecologist, that's like the pure and applied scientist. That's a person who's really just mainly concerned professionally about the environment, the organisms, how they interact, that kind of idea. The environmental scientists, while they very much should be grounded in ecology, they're also invested in politics, policy. And they'd be one who'd be much more apt to go up to a Tallahassee or to a DC and try to explain to a politician why they should do something. And then there's the environmentalists. They may have no science background. Then again, they might. But they're usually somebody who's out there chalicing the environment. Everything from a picket sign, a rah, 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 to going on a protest, to chaining yourself to a tree, all the way up to murder. I've heard it's happened. Somebody who's really into the environment, and look out. Now, again, could you be an ecologist and an environmentalist? Sure. You don't have to be. Now, this class is environmental science. So when you go through, that's what the intended outcome is. When you go through the book, you're going to see there's a lot of politics in there. There's an entire chapter dedicated to it. So I had a student then, it was about a year ago now, who I remember on the first day of class, right after the first lecture, they actually had lectures, it was a D-Life C class, sent me this really long email, and my goodness, were they grumpy. And pretty much the gist of the argument was, there should be no politics in science. That's not how it works. Sorry. And particularly this class, environmental science is a combination of ecology and politics. It's simply what the science is, the field is. Now, could you argue that science should be apolitical? In a perfect world, yeah. If science was just science, yeah, but that's not reality. Not just in a field like this, but in science generally, especially when a lot of money's involved. There's no such thing anymore really of like a Tony Stark in a basement solving world problems. It's just not how it works anymore. And so when you do that kind of leveled research, it takes teams, usually no one person, although I mean, the brilliant people out there, don't get me wrong, and a lot of money. And that's really why I brought up Tony Stark. Most of us don't have, a little like $1 billion lying around. Sorry. So that generally gets into grants and funds. And that usually comes from places like the government, which automatically puts in politics. Did you know that like NASA and NOAA are yes, they're government agencies, but they're run by the Department of Commerce. Wow. You talk about politics, it's going to be there. So you have to be aware of that. And you're going to see politics pop up a lot. Now, when I teach this, when I'm actually in front of a class or I'm doing the D-Life C lectures, I don't talk about politics any more than I have to. I'm not a political scientist. I am a scientist. So I focus on the science. And that's what this course intended outcomes. I tend to focus on the science, but the politics are always there. And you're going to see it in your textbook. So I make sure when I teach to talk about two things particularly, about a balancing act, giving the environment what it needs while still giving humans what they need. That's a very difficult balancing act, but it's an important one. In fact, notice down here, economic issues, yeah, sociological issues, economic issues. There's actually now a field of environmental economics. That's a true field now, a marrying of those two areas. Brilliant, just brilliant. And then when it comes to politics directly, I never tell people what to believe. It's not my job, it's not my place. You can believe whatever you want. My job is to teach you the science as much as I can, unbiasedly. I do get rather animated and I get passionate. I like science. I like biology. So I get passionate. I can actually see myself obviously in the camera. This is how Zoom and things work. I never realized how pink I get, how red I get until I started lecturing and I can see myself lecturing. I'm that fair skinned, I guess, with all that blood is flowing. And you can see it. I'm actually my wife. My wife is Chinese. She actually asked me once, why is it they don't call Caucasians pinkies? I got to admit, I didn't have an answer to that, but I know what she was talking about. I just get so red. So it's just this issue of, do I get, sorry, I guess a little moth has decided to invade my room. Do I get excited? Yeah. Do I get animated? Yeah. But while I'm doing that and I'm getting engrossed in the material, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'll put in things like, this is a personal note. So I'll qualify. So one thing I will say a lot in my classes is, learn the subject. That's what I would recommend. Learn the material, learn it unbiasedly, then vote your conscience. Vote however you like. Please vote, but vote however you like. Just learn the subject matter and learn it unbiasedly. That's what this is about. And it is a lot to go through, which means there's going to be a lot for you to weed through in notes in your textbook and therefore for the exams. Yes, it's a D-line class. Yes, a lot's on your shoulders, but I'll be here to help you if I can. Again, you have emails. I'll show you my email address again in a moment. And when we get to like email messaging section, please feel free to email me. I'll do whatever I can to help you. One thing I would say with emails though, while I'm thinking about it before I forget, I have had students before, they'll send me like some 17-part email. Ooh, I'll try to answer all 17 questions or more, because it's 17 parts, mind you. But it's really challenging to do, not just time-wise, it takes a long time to do that. But just because it makes sense to me in an email doesn't mean it makes sense to you. It's one great thing about D-Live classes, and I can see the student asking the question. I can see them, how the facial expressions are when I reply. Do they get it or not? Am I explaining it clearly or not? So you can make a Microsoft Teams appointment. I can see you. You can see me if you want. I mean, you don't have to turn your camera on. I'll have my camera on so you can see me. That's professional. Some students don't turn their camera on, but I can't see you then. And I don't know what your facial expression is, but that's also a great thing about like traditional office hours. You're sitting down across the desk in front of me. I can see your facial expression. So that really helps out in that kind of idea. So if you have a long email, maybe think more about a Teams appointment or coming up to like an office hours at the campus, that kind of idea. All right, so since my syllabi got longer when I went from teaching traditional to teaching online, like I said, I went from, it was like a 5-page syllabus. It would all the way up, I think there's a 16 pages. It had 16 pages. Again, because the biggest argument I got was it's just not thorough enough. All right, so I sit down and I made it thorough. Here's everything I would talk about in the syllabus. For the vast majority of students, that worked out just fine. But for a few of them, they then turned it around and said, now it's too thorough. Well, you can't have it both ways. It's either thorough or not. Or they say, well, I don't know where to find something. Hence why you have this. Or I read through it, it's too dense. Well, if you read through it and you don't understand, you can ask a question. Just all I would request is read through and try to answer your question beforehand and then explain why you were having an issue. Okay. So again, if you're looking for that, I think examinations comes up all the time. So right there, I don't know what we're doing for exams or how many of the exams are. Can't tell you how many times I get that question. How many tests are there? You can go right here to the examination section, which happens to be on page 9, and then look for yourself. Or even better, if you don't see it there, it is there, but if you don't see it there, you can go down to the Tendo schedule and find out exactly when you're getting exams. You can see it there. Plenty of ways to answer these questions, but I still get those emails. So again, try first, then email us. Now notice it's starting on page 3, because everything before was just like an introduction. So page 3 is the first salient piece of information. College policies related to COVID-19. So there you go. Now, these COVID policies, these are college policies. These aren't my policies. This isn't what I think you should be doing. The college has said this is what's going to be done. And so the college will enforce this. First and foremost, this one, stay at home if you're sick. Yeah, you are not allowed to be on campus if you're not feeling well. Even if you have a runny nose and you swear it's allergies, there are going to be very grumpy people with you. It's just the way it is. Sorry. Even if you swear, well, yeah, it's just a flu. Okay. It's not going to work out. So again, college requires you to do this. Wearing a mask. Yeah, okay, so here's politics for you. Politics, you can't mandate a mask. Okay, fine. But the college is going to emphasize greatly to wear one, like signs everywhere. Put on a mask, put on a mask, put on a mask. And so they're saying, wear a mask. Expects all faculty, staff, and students to wear a mask. Okay. I will be wearing one. I hate wearing masks. I hate it. Especially with glasses on it. No matter what I do, they fog up. Oh, it's just a mess. So I don't like it. And they hurt my ears. And between the glasses and those straps back there, I just don't enjoy it. But I always wear one. Always when I go out. I've been wearing cloth ones forever, never, never. They've been fine. As far as I know, I've never had the coronavirus. None of the variants that I've had that I know of. But of course, with the Omicron variant, now cloth masks aren't working. Now, that's not a failure of science, by the way. You really need to understand that about science. Science bases what it does on current literature. And so something that was working just fine a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, a decade ago, isn't working now. Things change, which is why science changes with it. And we've now found with the Omicron variant, the cloth masks don't work, okay? So you see me around campus, I'll be wearing a mask. Absolutely. Now, when I lecture, I may not have a mask on if you happen to come in when I'm lecturing one day, because projecting through a mask is really hard. So I'll be behind, there's like a podium. I'm not the kind of professor that holds onto a podium. It's not my style. And I really got to be careful on this, to walk too far. But there's usually a desk in front of the room. So, I'll probably stay behind that desk, giving that 6-foot kind of idea. But I'll take off my mask to lecture. And then if a student wants to come up and talk to me, or when I'm finished lecturing, I'll put my mask back on, kind of idea. And I will be wearing N95 masks because cloth masks don't work. Frankly, I don't like the N95. It's worse, actually, comfort-wise. It's worse than the cloth mask to me, but I'll be wearing one because I do base what I do on popular literature, like, what's on the news. Nope. I base what I do on science. I can sit down and read a journal and make my own decisions. And the science is pretty clear. Yes, it changes over time, and we change with the science, of course. That's how science works. Us scientists are okay with that. But I read the science itself. And based on that, you should be wearing a mask. Even more than that, I respect you, so I'm going to be wearing a mask. Even more than that, I have a wife with cancer, so I'm not taking any chances. I'll be wearing a mask. During office hours, I will be wearing a mask. Now, with office hours, I'll open my office at the door. Mind you, when they open, don't just walk in. Like anybody, you should knock on the door and then walk in. It gives us a second to look up, see what's going on, put our mask back on, that kind of idea. Yeah, you should be washing your hands. Please do. I was doing that anyhow beforehand because I'm a scientist. Be amazed what I've seen out there in the world. But now you should be really doing it. This one just surprised me, mind you. 60%. All the literature indicates it should be 70%, but okay. I use 70% or greater. So again, read through this on your own. These are college policies. Again, they're not dealing with professors. They have these kiosks that are around. If you forget a mask, you can go to the kiosk, you'll be able to get a mask for yourself, that kind of idea, and protect yourself and others. Now, etiquette. This might seem a bit surprising. I'd put this into a full online course, but there was a reason for it. And specifically in like Microsoft Teams appointments where you might have with me, or discussion boards. You got a discussion board in this course. I expect you to act like an adult. Plus, I don't know where you're taking the class from. Even though it's fully online, we don't have live meetings, maybe you're doing all the classroom material at the college. So again, there were reasons to keep this in. And pretty much what this says is, whenever you come to class, whenever you're at the college, don't act like an arse. Just sit down, be an adult, and be appropriate. Have a little bit of etiquette, and things will go fine for you. So again, read through it. If you have any questions, let me know. Now, specifically for this class, that's where this pops up. So first and foremost, the required materials for the course. There are two things you're going to need. One, there is a custom manual for you created by the college. And so you're going to have to go and either buy the physical book, which you can only get at the Neighbor campus, or the ebook. I do not care which one you get. One or the other is fine. You do not need both. Let's go back to Canvas for a second. So right down here, there's Macmillan Higher Learning. You'll get something like this. Now, right now, your ebook's not going to work for you because you haven't bought it. You have to go to the Dale Mabry bookstore and buy the access code before you can get into this. But once you do, you launch the book. There it is. I already opened it for you just to have it. There you go. You got the book. And then you got all the chapters there. You can read them, that kind of idea. So let's look at the first chapter. This is the science, find how it works. So introduction to the ebook, my little moth. I don't know why. Figures a moth when I'm giving a video. Welcome to my life. All right. So hopefully, there it goes. Yeah, it takes time for these things to open. So there you go. You can read the book. It's kind of there. They have all these lovely little infographics kind of popping about, that kind of idea. So kind of read through this. Go back again. Let's go a little further. I don't know. Pick one. Sample size matters. It's kind of a nice one. Let's talk about statistics. Statistics are really quite important. So they're all here. There's one thing I want to point out to you while I have the ebook open, while I'm thinking about it. So you can read through this. It's great. It's the same as the physical textbook, that kind of idea. I don't see it popping up at the moment. That's too bad. Let's go to the next chapter. Go back to the ebook real quick. So you get these little what were like little green leaf questions. Now they're just like a little question mark, that kind of idea. Some books still have a green leaf, which is why I have that in your syllabus. I don't remember if chapter 1 has it. It has it sometimes in some chapters, doesn't always have it, from what I remember. These little questions that you see around, you should try to answer these things, and not just the infographics. Oops, don't want to highlight the infographic. You should try to answer these little green leaf questions whenever one finally pops up. Of course, no one is. Let me try chapter 2, and try to understand that kind of idea. So, it's interesting. Let me see something here. 1 second. Let me see something real quick. Go back to my fall class. Where's environmental science? I teach this regularly, so the fall one is still there. So there's Macmillan again, same thing. I mean, you get this. Looks like it got linked incorrectly. Technology. Okay, yeah. So let's go back to your ebook. Let's go to the ebook. Thank you very much. content loading up. Yeah, it looks like, yep, looks like there was a issue with, looks like I have a tech issue on my hands. Like I said, with any textbook issue, just work the problem. But you're going to have these little, yes, I know. You're going to have these little like questions that pop up. So let's just pick one, chapter 2. There you go, an ecology chapter, fantastic. Get me out of the way. Okie dokie, lovely picture. It's riparian issues and river issues, kind of good. Now, one thing about your book, they structure them into these modules. That's okay. It's like just grouping, kind of like chapters kind of way. So let's pick a module. Nutrient cycling, good stuff. All right, you kind of read through it and you have great information. Let's go to the next page. So you kind of read through these things and occasionally, again, those questions pop up. So let's see how long it takes for one of them to pop up. It doesn't take too long. Looking, oh, there it is. Okay, now in some books, this is actually a leaf. It doesn't really look like it here. It looks like a little swath. It's actually a leaf and then a question mark. So you shouldn't make an effort to answer these. Now, you don't have to answer them for homework. I'll show you that when I get to that part of your syllabus, but you should make an effort to answer. It's like checkpoints, if you will. So take a look at those things. Now, usually at the ends of your chapters, you have little reviews. So I can have one pop up for you. Let's see if I can grab one. So these reviews are really quite useful. Little case study. Yeah, just got to find it. Review concepts. The ebook is a little bit more interesting to work with than the physical book, but you have these little like checkpoints at the end. And these little checkpoints are asking questions. So you should do those questions. There you go, risen the concept, that kind of idea. You should answer these questions that are out there. Let's see if I can find a nice little set of them. Again, sometimes it's easier than other chapters to find them. I prefer the physical book personally. I don't mind ebooks. I read on my phone and my Kindle all the time. But when it comes to textbooks, I kind of like the physical book. Kind of an interesting discussion I had with some colleagues a couple of years ago. They were really trying to move over to ebooks. And I made a comment saying, students, not all of them like ebooks. I kept hearing the argument, no. These students are all tech savvy. They love technology. They're all going to like ebooks. Yeah, that wasn't my experience. Some people just like having a physical book in front of them. And this is one of the times, thumbing around trying to find something can be a little bit challenging sometimes. But you'll find as you go through these things, they have these little like multiple choice questions at the end of the chapters. You need to do those. Now, that's the correct book. This is a car book. Go back to the first page. Get contents would be nice. Not let me go to, okay. Not let me go to the first page. It's always great. Let's close that. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, so yeah, there's a tech issue going on. Okay, I'll correct that. But that's your book. Whether you buy the physical book, which I actually have a copy of right here, it's really hard to get it to highlight with a backdrop. Oh, I did. There you go. There you go, and I lost it. And it's really hard to get to highlight. Or you go to ebook. I don't care which one you do. Make sure you get one or the other. Again, the physical book is a little bit easier to find things. Let me show you those multiple choice questions I was talking about. Find it here. Yeah, so there's these questions at the end of the chapter. It's not going to highlight on my screen. Make sure you do those questions at the end of your chapter. And I'll show you that when we get to that part of your syllabus. But I don't care. If you buy the physical book or you buy the ebook, either one is just fine. Now, for your class, again, it is Macmillan. Let's go back to your specific course. But again, I'll have to correct that tech issue. Environmental science, that's the fall. No, thank you. A lot of classes. I teach so many classes. There we go. This is your class. All right. So again, that's your textbook. I just want to show you then you can find the linking here, Macmillan, like I was showing you. But when you click this, right now there's a little bit of a tech issue. I'll solve that. But the only way to get access to the ebook is to buy the code that they have at the WMA bookstore. All right, so that's one thing out of two you need. The second one, again, I'll try to get it to highlight with this image back here. Sometimes hard to do. Is this lab manual from Mr. Thomas Klee? It's often have an orange manual like this, and it's really hard to get the stuff to highlight when I have a green screen behind me, and then it allows me to show you these little views. Yeah, again, really hard to do. But there's often an orange book. Sometimes they change the color on the cover, but if you look at the book itself, most of the labs are going to come out of that book. And so it looks like this. And so you need to get the lab manual. The lab manual stuff doesn't cost very much. The last time I looked, it was like It's $3.50, something like that. So it doesn't cost very much. You need to get both of those. You need to get either the physical book or the ebook and the lab manual. So buy both of those. They can only purchase at the Dell Maple bookstore. Now, I did give you a little bit of a heads up here. The best advice I can suggest is read before you come to a class or to a Teams meeting or something like that. Best advice I can give. Usually, if you don't, it doesn't go so well. Okay, so moving on to attendance. Now, attendance is mandatory at the college, but how do you mandate attendance in a fully online class? Welcome to the changing world we now live in. So I figured out a few ways you can do it. First off, you have a mandatory quiz to take. It's a little hard to see the date there, 1/19/22. You can see it there. But I made it extra credit. So that should be exciting to you. I'm already giving you extra credit right off the bat, but it's mandatory to do. Don't interpret extra credit as optional. I'm using this as a way to mark attendance. And I'm doing this within the first week or so. Now, also an email from you telling me you want to stay in the class. You have to do that. Again, between both of those, that helps with things like your registration, that kind of idea. There's no way I can withdraw you from the course, actually right there, I'll admit it, except for what's called a WN grade. So I'll get that in a minute. Other ways for attendance, discussion board activity. You don't get any points for attendance, but it shows activity, which is what the college wants. So I'm going to check for that. I'm going to check to see if you're talking to students. The discussion board, you can't get it right or wrong. These are student-driven. There are ways for you to talk to your colleagues, help teach each other material, help to say, well, I didn't quite get this, or I didn't know where to find that, that kind of idea. It's meant to help. I will chime in on those discussion boards as time permits, mind you, to answer questions as I see I need to, although this really should be student-driven, to give you topics to talk about, to look for any problems, certainly to moderate as much as I can. HEC is a full-time job. I'm not a full-time discussion board moderator. But if I see somebody acting inappropriately, saying things they shouldn't say, harassing a student in any way, shape, or form, in any kind of manner, I will take issue with that immediately. And you do not want to have that happen to you. So again, play nice, whole etiquette issue, right? Of course, you'll be submitting homework to me. There's a Gordon rule that's required in the class and exams. These are all ways to show attendance in the class. I expect you to be doing it. Now, as for dropping, again, with dropping a course or drawing a class, faculty cannot help you with that. You cannot send me an email saying, the class was kind of fun, but I'm out of here. Good for me to know doesn't mean a darn thing because it's not formal. You have to go formally to the college. Either go to the registrar's office, go to Hawkeye and formally deregister yourself. If you are on my rules at the end of the semester, I have no choice but to give you a grade. And if you've only taken one test out of 3, you're probably going to fail. Or if you don't do the Gordon rule by state law, you don't pass the class. And even if you do, ace all 3 exams and you don't do the Gordon rule, by state law, you don't pass the class. So don't play games. It happens every semester. People disappear. I've got no choice in the matter. I'll send you emails. Where are you? You missed an exam. Is there some way I can help you with this? Never get a reply. Okay. Now, as I noted, there's one way we can withdraw you. It's right here, WN grade. Draw non-attendance. So in particular, if you do not do the extra credit quiz or send me that email, and it should be I have no choice but to withdraw you because we have to. We have to withdraw students that effectively never came to class by the second week of the semester, that kind of idea. And if you don't, we are required to remove you. So if you fail to do either one of these, you're gone. It's just the way it is. That's what the college requires from us. But outside of the WN, I have no way to withdraw you. And again, at the end of the term, if you saw my sheets, I have to give you a grade. And if you haven't done well, you are going to fail. I have some students thinking, it's community college, you can't fail. Hogwash. Of course you can. That's absolute rubbish. I don't know if people get that idea. And they seem rather shocked with the fact that they actually failed. Yeah. So please don't do that to yourself. It happens every term and it breaks my heart. I've got no choice. I've got a family. If I don't do it, I'm going to get fired. I'm not going to get fired because you're not acting appropriately. Sorry about that. Right, so office hours, here you go. Now you can see Mondays and Wednesdays, online only. Don't expect to find me at HEC. And I will be keeping on emails, answering questions, that kind of idea. But again, if you send me an email, don't expect to necessarily get a reply. It takes 24 to 40 hours to get back to students. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. It doesn't mean I won't reply that day. If I have a chance, I will reply to you. But if I get a lot of emails during this time, I may not have time to get to your specific email, as I explained earlier. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm at the college. So you can see I have office hours from 7:30 to 9 a.m., 12:45 to 1:45 p.m. That's around my classes, around my committee meetings I might have to go to, so around my engineering club issues I have to go to, that kind of idea. And then Friday, it is online only as well. I also have the discussion board set on Friday as well. So again, you see when to find me and where to find me. If you send me emails, remember the 24 to 40 hours. Now, if you want to make a Teams appointment, fine. That's a scheduled appointment. It means we have worked out a time that's amicable to us both. And then you'll go to Teams. I'll log in. My camera will be working. Hopefully, will be on, and you can see and hear me. Hopefully, you do the same. If you don't want to turn your camera on, fine. That's your choice. And you will be able to ask questions, that kind of idea. This is a great time, by the way, to go over exams. You're welcome to make a Teams appointment to do that. If you've never used Teams, as I showed you in the announcement, and right here is a link that will run you through how to sign up for Teams. So click on the link. And there you go. It'll show you how to deal with Teams. So I have everything there for you. Now I got to go back to that section. One moment, please. There it is. So again, Teams are great, but you have to set up the appointment. Let me know what you want to do. I'll work with you any way I possibly can, any way that's appropriate. There's your email message. I've already pretty much said everything. Really, the new thing here is when you email me, and you're emailing me from your Hawkmail address, your HC email, to my HC email, please, please, please tell me who you are. Do you know how many times I've come across students who have the exact same name? I mean that seriously. Even middle initial, like Bob P. Smith. I've got 3 Bob P. Smiths this semester, amazingly enough. And I'll get a message from Mr. Smith saying, what did we do today? I don't know. I don't know who you are. It's amazing. Emails from Bob Smith, and in the subject line, they say, Bob Smith. So I don't even know what the subject's about. And they'll say, what did we do today? I have no bloody idea what we did today. So I'll reply saying, well, who are you? You know what? 9 times out of 10, I never get a reply, which means I just wasted my time replying to that email. But if I get a reply on email number 3, you're saying, oh yeah, I'm Bob Smith in your environmental science class. Here's what I need help with. Which means in email number 4, I could finally answer your question. 4 emails to answer your question. Where if you took 5 seconds and say, I'm Bob Smith in your environmental science class, I have a question about this. Great. It took you 5 seconds to tell me who you are. Now we just saved ourselves about 3 emails. Fantastic. And again, here's that whole idea. I get a lot of emails, 24 to 40 hours. Please keep that in mind. Now we have labs doing the class. This is a C class, Environmental Science 1001 C. C means combination lecture lab. And so we have to do labs. And I have done my best to take labs that were done on campus and make them applicable to online. That's really hard to do. And this is even more difficult because you chose to take a DLON class, which means I'm not there. Even in the DLive C, we have a day we're doing labs. So they come in, here I am, I'm talking to you, I have my labs open. I actually go through the lab step by step, ask them questions. They ask me questions. I show them all sorts of stuff. They ask me all sorts of stuff. It's like being in lecture. That tends to work out pretty well. Obviously, that's not what a DLON class is all about. So kind of keep that in mind. So I've done my best to help you, but sometimes Mr. Klee is wonderful. He's such a delightful person. He did fine with this manual. There's no issue, but sometimes the labs are complex. And so I would come into like lab that day. We would spend a half hour, 45, maybe even an hour talking before you go off and do the lab because the lab's really complex. We don't have the luxury in a DLON class. So when that happens, I have created supplemental information, which I stuck into an additional labs folder. I'll show you that in a second. Which means for every single lab you're going to do, you have to look at your lab manual, this orange manual again, or whatever color they chose. And sometimes they change the front page. And you need to go to Canvas, go to your files link. Remember, we were working on the syllabus, yeah? And go to the additional labs and see for this lab, is there anything here? Notice not every lab needs it. Lab 1 needed it, lab 3 needed it, lab 4, 6, and 7 all needed it. So for example, lab 2 did not need it. Great. So always check. And what you would do then, you'll read what's in the lab manual. Then you will come here and look at the extra stuff I gave you. What this is helping you understand what's in there. I gave a few extra pages here with permission because when I taught DLive C, what I noticed was sometimes they didn't have their manual yet. And the bookstore might have run out, that kind of idea. So I gave you the first lab. I have permission to do that, but I gave you the first lab. And so it's there if you need it. I don't know what's going on in the bookstore. Sometimes things happen. And then here's the actual virtual lab. Now in this one, because we're not on campus, it's actually a wet lab, meaning you would actually have chemicals and we would actually work with plants. I couldn't do that for you. So I actually gave you this fun little video. It's actually an interactive thing you can do. So this is actually what you would have done. It's a super exciting lab. We have a freshwater plant, usually Alodia. That's the genus of the plant. You are in a freshwater medium, so here's some freshwater for you. And a light source. You're replicating photosynthesis. And then temperature is always important. Yeah, it drives the reaction issue. And so it's kind of fun. You can actually play with luminosity, so the intensity, making it either really bright or really dim, that kind of idea, and see what happens. Let's make it a little bit bright, and let's put the temperature to like room temperature, that kind of idea. And then we watch it. You can watch it over like 30 seconds. We're not going to do that now, but there you go. Push play, and you'll see. Okay, so 2 seconds have been 2 bubbles, and 3 seconds we'll go for like 9 seconds. That kind of idea. Why not? It's a good number 9. And in 9 seconds, there were 6 bubbles produced. Cool, nice. That's what you would do in a lab. You would have been actually having a light source, a gooseneck lamp, and you can bend the neck, that kind of idea. Put it up to the Alodia. Actually see what the Alodia is doing, and then you can compare a bright source to dark. And we're talking about photosynthesis, obviously, here, which we haven't done yet, but you'll see that in the notes. And then let's go for another 9 seconds. And there you go. You only have 1 bubble this time. Oh my goodness gracious. So it's replicating as well as I could what you would have done in a lab. And then because you're not in an actual lab room collecting data, I gave you what's called canned data, which doesn't even make fake data. You can use this to answer the questions at the end of the lab. Great. Lab manual. It's all right there for you. So let's get this out of the way. So you need to do these labs, and you need to check the additional files to see for that lab does it need it. Now, if you don't see anything, you go to the additional files, and oh yeah, like lab 2 doesn't need it. It means everything found in the lab manual, it closed on me. I actually have a virtual one. I'm not allowed to give it to you, but I had a virtual one. Everything you have for lab 2. Lab 2 is like unit conversion, that kind of idea. Everything you had in the manual itself is all you need. Read through it. If you have any questions, of course, let me know. That sort of idea. Okay, let's go back to this. All right, so posted files. So as a courtesy to you, I've taken, with permission, again, we have permission, to post what I would have given as lectures on Canvas for you. These are in essence the edited. I didn't right click and put it in a different file, so that's a new link. So let's see if it works. Sometimes it's a little grumpy, which is why I like doing it in the new link. And even then, it's kind of funky how it presents it. So let's close that. Let's try that again. So right click. There you go, new tab. All right. So what I've done is you take the notes from the author and you clean them up. Look for mistakes. There's always mistakes, and it just happens. And you take stuff out, you need to focus on that kind of idea. So these are in essence a summary of the chapter. That means if the information is in the notes, you must know it for the exam. There's more stuff in the chapter than here. Anything extra in the chapter is where I get my extra credit from. I just don't have time to talk about it usually in DLive C or in traditional, so I make that extra credit, which means you need to read your chapters, then go to your post-it notes. So you don't need to send me an email saying, what do I need to know for the test? If it's in the post-it notes, you need to know it. This is a summary of your chapter. So it seems kind of crazy, yeah? You say, oh my God, it's 57 slides long. That's a summary? Yeah, it is. There's a lot more in your chapter than here. You should see some of the notes I get from the author, 200-300 slides long. And I whittled it down as much as I can. Happens. So yes, these are the summaries. And you do not need to ask me what's on the test. It's all right there. For every chapter you have to worry about, I've already posted it here for you. What do you know? So those are your post-it notes. And I explained again what the post-its are about, your material you need to know for your exam, that kind of idea, everything I'm talking about here, it's all here for you. Homework, like I said, you only need to do at the end of the sections, the environmental literacy quizzes. That's all you need to do. And like I said, look for those little green leaf questions that are there. You don't get graded on the green leaf questions, but they help you understand the information. But you must do the environmental literacy quizzes. Now, for your labs too, any questions asked in a lab must be done for homework. So, for example, in that very first lab I was just showing you, environmental science, see if I can get this to highlight on the camera nicely. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Get to the right page, 1 second. Okay, so let's see if I can get you that. It doesn't want to do it very well. Maybe you can see if you magnify your screen a little bit. If I can get it to highlight again, for a second. Come on, you can do it. Goodness. Turning my green screen on might kick me out of recording, so I don't want to do that. Well, let me just get the page to come up. Okay, so there, I got the page to come up. There you go. Okay, so I like my white shirt. Okay, so at the end, at the end of that page, oh darn, I keep losing it. There are questions down here to answer. Got to answer the questions. Those questions are part of the homework. And so you'll turn it in at the same time as you turn in the environmentalistic quizzes. Now, homework is not due until the day of the exam. You don't have to turn it in at the end of the module, that kind of idea. It's due on the day of the exam. How you turn it in? Just type up the questions in Microsoft Word or whatever word processing program you want, and then email it to me. No more difficult than that. And it's due by the end of that day of the exam. So 11:59 p.m. on the day of the exam. I'll come back to this timing in a moment. Like anything else in college, I will not accept late work. It's that simple. And if it's an extenuating circumstances, well, then maybe I can help you out. Here are generally the reasons I can help you out. Death in the family, hospitalization, jail jury summons, military duties. Now, granted, if you miss the homework and it doesn't fall into these categories, talk to me. There might be another extenuating circumstance that I can work with, but generally, no, late homework is not acceptable. Okay, so your discussion board, trying to have ways of activity, trying to have ways of attendance, that kind of idea. On Friday, I'll post a topic relating to subject matter. It's just meant for you guys to talk about. Like maybe I'll say, discuss the role of politics in science. Great. So read the chapter, read the book, and then go into the discussion boards. Let's go to files again. This right there. Now notice how there's a little like I with a slash through it. That means I haven't done anything yet. I haven't posted anything, which is why you can't see it on your end yet. So on that Friday, I'll post something and I'll say, discuss the role of politics in environmental science. And you guys can chat about that. You've read the chapter, you've read the slides. Here's what you have to say about it. It's not meant to be right or wrong. It's meant to talk about it. As I said, my job here is not to make you believe something. My job here is to present the science, present the data, and you can do whatever you want with it. Especially when it comes to like politics, people have very different points of view. Nothing right or wrong about that, just different points of view. So talk to each other. Try and have a discussion. One thing I really like about being a professor of discussions, I don't like getting up and just lecturing. I like to talk about it. I like to ask questions. I'm not the kind of professor in class. Hey, Mr. Smith, what do you think? I don't do that. I don't want to stress you out, but let's hear what you have to say. I'm not looking for right or wrong answers. It's great to have, really good to have on a test, but I'd like to hear what you have to say. And you know, no human knows everything, right? I don't know everything, so it's good to talk. But remember, etiquette, yeah, you must have a little bit of decorum. If I see people yelling at each other, if I see people attacking in any way, shape, or form, demeaning, being racist, whatever it is, I will step in. But this is for you to discuss. I will watch, and if I have to chime in, I will, that kind of idea. This is student driven. That's what these are designed for activity. What do you know? You can have fun in science. That's what this is for. But I'll be doing that on Fridays. And don't forget I have office hours on Fridays. So I'm trying to connect things, you know, be around for you, that kind of idea. And then, like I said, it's a general way to deal with the volume of information that is the field of environmental science. That's how I phrase it. That's right. Tons of information in the science. So this is a way to help work with that. In a way, it's like study group. It's kind of how some of this works. For me personally, when I was an undergrad, even in grad school, I was never really much for study groups. I didn't really get a lot out of it. I got more out of it personally from going home and studying. And it just was my style, the way I did things. But I think it'd be fun. And so that's what they're meant to. And some students really love study groups. But remember, it should be a stress-free environment. I do not want anybody in there attacking anybody saying, you're wrong because of. It'd be nice. Say, well, you know, I don't agree because of this. Let's talk about that. Be cordial. It could be a lot of fun. Now, with it again, as I said right here, the discussion board is not to be used for any personal issues, including sensitive course-related subjects, such as your grades, scheduling meetings with me. Again, that's where sending me an email message, seems upon that kind of idea. So again, a little bit of decorum, right? But this should be a lot of fun for you. I hope it's a lot of fun. Oh, by the way, I'll also be doing this. I'll also give you a little summary. You know, this week, this is what you should have been doing. Here's what's coming up in the near future. Like there's a lab coming up, that kind of idea. Heads up about this. It's kind of like a connection to the announcements, that sort of issue. All right, your Gordon Rule. Yep, you're lucky, folks. You are in a Gordon Rule course. Isn't that exciting? Now, granted, I had nothing to do with this. The college sits down and decides, yeah, these classes are going to be Gordon Rule, these are not. So, all right, Gordon Rule. If you're not familiar with this, it typically means one or two things. Either you're new to college, which means welcome, or you're new to college in Florida, which means welcome. Because I've taught at other places, I had never heard of Gordon Rule until I came to Florida. It's a Floridian thing. Here's what I understand happened. Way long ago, Senator Gordon, who's a senator, decided that college students are coming out woefully unprepared in mathematics and writing ability. And so they decided that they're going to make students better in reading and writing and mathematics. Now, no matter what you think, they are right about one thing. No matter where you go and what you do, you will always be graded on how you write and how you talk. It's just how humans work. That includes emails, by the way. Keep that in mind. And so math was kind of direct. They just said, all right, for this field, you have to go to this level of math. College algebra, pre-calc, cal 1, whatever it is. Great. But for the other fields, it was more challenging. And so that's where the writing came in. And they decided, really, there's one of two ways to do this. Either make you take like English 3, which actually I would have agreed with. I would agree with that for a number of reasons. One, you need as much formal schooling on writing as possible. Writing is good for you. It may be painful. I was never the best. I wasn't really comfortable with writing, even now. I mean, I've been writing for a long time. Yeah, I get it, but I still have to like really focus on emails and try to make sure I don't make a boo-boo and that sort of idea. So most of us need a lot of work on writing. Two, a lot of people need jobs. So I mean, like English 3 would have really been a benefit for you. Somebody who's actually schooled in being an English professor to sit down and help you. Because that's where the second thing comes in. I am not an English professor. Am I really the right person to be teaching you how to write? Now, granted, I've had a lot of experience writing. I've had a lot of schooling in writing, but I've been taught how to write in my field. So science is very different than other fields. And even then, within the sciences, there's very different ways to do things. If I'm going to publish a paper, let's say the Journal of Ecology, I have to go to the Journal of Ecology, go to the instructions of the authors and find out exactly how that journal wants me to do things. There's no standardized way to do it. And let's say I write it for the Journal of Ecology, I submit it, and they say, no, we don't want to publish a paper. So, all right, that didn't work. So I'm going to try the Journal of Marine Biology and Ecology. I have to go to that journal and see how they want me to write. I might have to entirely redo my paper, or entirely reformat the structuring of the paper. There's no real standardized way. 50 different ways to do things in science. In biology, 50 different ways to do things. So what exactly am I supposed to teach you? Now, granted, I mean, there are general things like run-on sentences and dangling participles, whatever it is. Sure. But that's not what I'm formally trained in. That's what an English prof is for. So this is really quite challenging. So I did what I hoped was about as painless thing as I could for you. What I would like for you to do between now and the day it's due, because you're right there, 25th of April, is to find 2 papers that relate to the course. It's 2 papers. And then talk about them. A summary of the articles. Now, again, that might seem like high schoolish, but it's not. For a lot of scientists, the hardest part of a paper to write is called the abstract. The abstract is, in essence, a summary of the paper. It's really tough to take all the science and crush it down into a paragraph or 2. So you're working on that. Then give your thoughts on it. Now, by the time the end of April comes, that's pretty much the end of the semester. Probably should have picked a little bit earlier date, but I've got so many classes, it's hard to weed through everything. You've gone through most of the science. You should be able to sit down and articulate your position on whatever it is you chose to talk about, whatever science area relating to environmental topics you decided to talk about. And then make it 2,000 to 3,000 words. This is a big deal. Quite a while ago, there was no, actually, and even now, from my understanding, there's no word count, no formalized structuring in the natural sciences. From what I understand, you could technically write your name on a piece of paper. You wrote for me. Good job. And I actually have heard of that happening before. It never happened in my classes. So I remember years ago, the college came and said, yeah, to all of us, they like this mass email saying, yeah, please don't do that. Please make sure they actually write a paper or something like that, essay exams, whatever it is. So I did what most English profs do, a standardized paper. This is like a 3 to 5 page paper, that kind of idea. And then a short literature cited. I do not care if you use APA or MLA formatting. I don't care. Choose whatever you like. It's fine. And then, because some students say, well, it's not formal enough, like specific enough. What do you want us to type it as? There you go. It must be typed, double-spaced, new Roman font, size 12, 1-inch margins. Is that specific enough? And it's due on that day by 11:59 p.m. Now, I had other students getting really grumpy saying, well, I don't know what to write on. You should give me a topic. No, I shouldn't. You are an adult. You are in college. This is not K through 12. Figure it out. But that being said, I gave you areas you could write on. So what I'd recommend is find an area of science you like and see if it relates to environmental science. Like astrobiology, bacteriology, biochemistry, biophysics, biotechnology, botany, including astrobotany. That's actually what it looks like I'm doing my doctorate in. Cell biology, ecology, evolutionary biology, genetics, histology, invertebrate zoology, medical science, nutrition, general zoology, mycology, phycology, physiology, vertebrate zoology, and or virology. Here's a lot of general areas. Then go and see if you find anything related to environmental science. This does not have to be difficult. For example, I just went into Google and I plopped in environmental science. Great. Okay. Now, this probably wouldn't work. What's an environmental science degree? But this would be a great article. Indigenous science. Cool. Ancestral knowledge could help protect the planet. I haven't read the article. This is the first time I've seen it. That'd be really neat. Let's go take a look at that. Or road salt works, but it's also bad for the environment. Great. No, we don't salt our roads in Florida, but the Northeast does. Cool. Okay. These bird species are most likely to contaminate our fruits and veggies. Cool. Let's find out what's going on there. New research questions whiff of oxygen, early Earth. Oh, actually, that's a really good one too. Some papers I need to go read. More than 100 ecologists, engineers, and environmental scientists, I would think. Okay, so let's open that one up. Environmental scientists signed a letter denouncing Utah lake proposal. I don't know what's happening in Utah, so we'd have to go find out, but it's obviously an environmental issue. And this is kind of cool too. Notice they're differentiating ecologists from environmental scientists. Those are not technically the same thing. What's the last one here? NASA launched Earth Science Mission in 2020. Brown students bring Earth Science educated province. So some of these will work. I mean, if you're picking something like what is environmental science degree, that's not going to work. I mean, that's not really talking about an environmental issue. But this is. How long did it take me to find this paper? Well, when I plugged it in, it took me, I got 65,600,000 results in 0.4 seconds. It didn't take me very long to find a paper, which means it shouldn't be hard for you. Now, granted, you need to find 2 of these. So you might need to look around a little bit, but that wasn't difficult at all. Or maybe let's do this, environmental science and astrobotany. I did my geology work, my doctorate work in geology, I loved it. But I'm looking to do a doctorate in astrobotany, actually. It's geology, but with an astrobotany focus. See if I can get into that. So let's see, I've never looked to see if there's a connection between these, but I'm sure there is. University of Washington astrobotanist pays way for deep space exploration. I'm not sure how that relates to environmental science, so I have to kind of look around. I know this is University of Washington because I'm aware of the fact. My initial doctoral area was geology, but it was focusing on astrobiology. And there was a lot of work being done at University of Washington, so I happen to know that. Packing picnics from Mars, UW astrobotanist launches seed experiments in space. There you go. Cool. Because it's not just growing plants, botany. You're actually creating a micro habitat. Big word in environmental science, big word in ecology, on something like a space shuttle, on something like maybe you have a spaceborne platform that's permanent. How about a mission to Mars? How about on Mars? How scientific? Actually, it's a Martian. No, that's a movie thing, but still, he grew potatoes of all things there. Why not? And so forth. Cool. A lot of stuff out there. I don't care what subject of biology you go with, as long as you're related to environmental science. And as I just showed you, there are a lot of like general news sources there. Fine. So you can use online sources, but you must use .edu, .gov, or mainstream media. I got asked, what's mainstream media? ABC News, CBS News, CNN, Fox News, NBC, etc. That kind of thing. Now be aware. Most sites that are like this have biasy, just how it works. So keep that in mind. For example, there's that word biasy right there. For example, CNN tends to lean left, but not always. I've seen some right-leaning papers on CNN. Fox News tends to lean right, but not always. I've seen some left-leaning papers on Fox News, but be aware of that. Just because somebody wrote something doesn't mean it's accurate, doesn't mean it's right. Even published research can be wrong. That's my job as a scientist. If something gets published, my job, once we get it, like a journal plops down on my desk, is to destroy that research. Look for every bit of flaw in there, along with learning as I go. So you should do the same, read critically. Just be aware of that. So it is also good in biology, particularly, to have resources younger than 2 years. You could get something older than 2 years. If you have something in mind, an idea, write me. I had a student a couple semesters ago who wanted to do a book. They didn't want to do anything like this. Okay, and the book was 9 or 10 years old. So what book is it? Yeah, I knew the book. That's fine. It's still accurate enough. That's fine. So again, there could be exceptions to this. Just let me know what's going on. You may not do anecdotes, interviews, movies, that kind of idea. You can't say, yeah, I went down and talked to environmental scientists and here that's what they said. No. Or I watched a movie, what's that? Don't Look Up, that one is coming out. I haven't seen it yet. No, you can't do that. And like anything else, don't submit anything late. These are generally the only exceptions that can be worked with. And remember, by state law, this is state law. This is not me being grumpy. If you don't pass the Gordon rule, you don't pass the class. It's that simple. You can ace every exam given. You don't pass the Gordon rule, you don't pass the class. Like if you don't turn it in, you automatically fail. You fail the Gordon rule, you automatically fail. That kind of idea. Now, one thing I didn't mention, there's a lot to talk about here. Let's go back to the top of this. Notice it's going to be worth 20 points. So it's not a huge amount of points. It's 20 points and roughly 20% of your grade. Go back to that in a minute. it's not a lot of points. But, and I'm not a golf professor, so as long as I can read through it, I don't see anything major, that kind of idea, you're fine. I would recommend strongly, if you have questions on writing, go to the Dale Mabry Writing Center. You can even do that online now, virtually. That's their job. In fact, we were asked to direct people to the Dale Mabry Writing Center. So by the time I get the paper, it should be vetted, not something you just whipped up in 10 minutes. So this shouldn't be an issue, and really a grade issue. Usually what I see with grades are like you didn't submit a literature cited, that kind of idea, so I knocked a few points off, that sort of issue. Or you only had one paper, not two, and knocked some points off, that kind of issue. But yeah, I mean, certainly if you don't turn it in, you're automatically going to fail, so don't do that. All right, examinations. Like I said, you're going to get 3 examinations in the course, 3 of them right there. And I list when you're going to have them in the tentative schedule. Now, I always use a tentative schedule because anything can happen. Even though I have, hypothetically, let's say the 18th of March set for a final, maybe Hurricane X is roaring into Tampa on the 18th of March. Guess what? College is closed. There's not going to be a test that day. I'm not going to require you to find some sort of computer that can work in the middle of a hurricane, which means you actually have electricity and you're not having a massive whirlwind around you while you're trying to answer questions. Of course not. It's ridiculous. Which is why we always use a tentative schedule. But it's there, and it shows you when your exams are going to be. Now, this is an online class. You must take exams through Canvas. And I cannot emphasize this enough. That's why I highlighted and bolded it and italicized it. It must be through a formal desktop or laptop. I had students my first time teaching, because I didn't know, trying to use iPads, trying to use their phone. It will not work. It will not work. And Canvas has been clear on this. Not only will that not work, you must use Google Chrome. You must. And then make sure everything's updated. Computer, your operating system, your browser, all that's updated. If not, it's not going to work. And remember, if you have a problem during your exam, you got to go to tech support. I can't help you with that. Only they can. And by the way, because it's happened, and I've had to fail people on this. If you try to do something funky, like say my internet went out, I couldn't take the test. Really? Okay, that can be checked, and it will be checked. Anything like that. Canvas keeps logs of everything going on. Things will be looked into. And if you found you are cheating, you will, which means you were lying, you were cheating, you're going to fail. It's that simple. Don't do it. Now, as I noted, all exams are taken on the dates given in the tentative schedule. You must take it on that day. It's that simple. You're going to see the dates in this orientation video. You know when they're happening. If something's coming up, talk to me. Taking a test early, never a problem. Taking it late, problem. Now, you will get the exact same amount of time as the D-Live classes and the face-to-face, 1 hour and 40 minutes for the exam. And that's it. I don't care when you take it. I set the exam to open at 9 a.m. and it close at 11:59 p.m. But whenever you start the exam, let's say you started at noon, you'll get 1 hour and 40 minutes. You started at 2:30, you get 1 hour and 40 minutes. Which means you better start the exam by 10:19 p.m. because if you don't, you will not get 1 hour and 40 minutes. The test is scheduled to close at 11:59 p.m. You have all day to take it, working around with classes, your job, I don't care, whatever you want to do. But you only get 1 hour and 40 minutes. And if you miss it that day, just because I'm thinking about it, right here, you better have a good reason. And if a makeup test is warranted, you're not getting okay, you'll take the test on that day. Nope, you get one of these buggers. There's a lot of discussion about this, not just with our faculty, but with other faculty, other schools. And this is what's being done. You're going to take an oral exam. That's your makeup. Whether it's through Microsoft Teams or we make a time, you come to my office, maybe during office hours, that wouldn't work because it takes a while to go through a test. So it's got to be a scheduled time in my office, scheduled time in Teams. You are going to get an oral exam, which means I need to be able to hear and see you because I know who's taking the test. And you right there better be able to answer these questions with specificity, not beating around the bush. If I ask you, give me the exact delineation of what a taiga is. If you can't do it, you fail. You better tell me it's a kind of biome. You better tell me exactly about it. The animals, the plants, the environment itself, how much rain it gets per year, where you find it. You can't do it, you fail the question. I might give you 10 questions. You miss one, you had 90%. You missed 2, you had an 80%. 3, you had a 70%, and so forth. Now, if you take the test earlier on time, this is generally what I give. In all my classes, I've been doing this for, gosh, how long have I been teaching now? I've been at HEC for what, 17 years now? 18 years at the college level, almost 20 years I've been doing this at the college level, altogether well over 2 decades. This is pretty typical in biology. I give multiple choice tests. And so they're almost always 50 to 100 questions. Now you get 1 hour and 40 minutes to do upwards of 100 questions. You better be able to do it, which means I recommend you give yourself no more than 30 seconds a question. If you do not, you're not going to make it through the test. And notice, this has been a lot of discussion. You get questions one at a time. You cannot go back. Once you submit the answer to that question, you are done with it. That's how they're done. Sorry, that's how they're done. If you don't like anything in the syllabus, mind you, certainly if you don't like this, how long the test is, how the questions are being done, don't take my class. It's that simple. Find a different course. You're finding this out at drop week, find a different class. Because at the end of the test, like first exam, you can't send me an email saying how grumpy you are about that. I don't think I should be doing this. Too bad. You agreed to take the class. I went over it. You should have known. And again, if you want to go over the exams, you're free to make a Teams appointment and do so. Remember, if you miss a test, you're getting that oral exam. So I recommend you don't miss it. Talk to me if something's going on. All right, grading. So here you go. I do a weighted system. And you can see what everything's worth. Exam 1, exam 2, exam 3, which is the final. Your Gordon rule, your homeworks. Now, homework set 1 has an extra part to it, which I'll explain as we get there on this. It's a unique lab. So it's not a tough lab. There's just a lot going on. So because there's a lot going on, I made it a separate grade to give you, actually to be kind to you, to give you some more points for that because there's a little bit more work. It's in your lab manual. So, I mean, it's nothing I'm doing. I'm adding this in. That's just a bugger. It's in your lab manual. It's one of the labs there. It's a lot to do. And it's an important lab. So I made it a bit of a special grade. Again, you can see the percents each one is worth, everything equaling 100%. Excellent. So to give you an idea how this works, it's just an example. This is a fake student in a fake class. It's an example of how this works. Notice how this fake student did. In exam 1, they got 63 points out of 70. They got a 90% on it. Cool. And that 90% will be 20% of the grade. Nice job. Exam 2, 72 points out of 84 points. They got an 86.9. I'll always round up whenever I'm allowed to. So here, I'll show you that rounding in a minute. They got 86.9, 20% of the grade, and so forth. There's your Gordon rule. Notice they got 16 points out of 20. Maybe they forgot to include the literature cited or something like that. Only did that 1 paper out of 2. You should have 2 like articles you're talking about, that kind of idea. So they got an 80% on it. 80%, it's worth 20% of your grade. And then the homework. They did all the homework. Homework is always due on the day of the test, which means you are done with the homework by the time you take the test, which means ask your questions on the homework before you take the test. And so I kind of spot check the homework. Look through it. Did you do it? Did you complete it all? That kind of idea. Did you give it a good college try? This student did, so they got the points for it. And you can see, like, for example, this test, they got 90%. It's 90% for 20% of the grade. 20% of the grade, they got a 90 on it. Great. Second test, 20% of the grade, they got an 86.9 on it, and so forth. The Gordon rule, where is it? Let's see it. Oh, there it is. 20% of the grade, they got an 80% on it, so forth. The homework's that kind of idea. And you can see the numbers that comes up to, tallied all together. At the end of the semester, they got an 89.9% at the end of the semester. Now, being a scientist, I like the rules of mathematics. Remember the rules of mathematics. With an 89.9, I'm allowed to round up. I did. This fake student got a fake A. Great job. Excellent. I will always round up when I'm mathematically allowed to do so, which only includes general things, but certainly overall grades. You can see here, 89.5 to 100 is an A, 79.5 to 89.4 is a B, and so forth, which means if you get an 89.4, by the rules of mathematics, obviously I can't round up. I won't. We'll cry together. But I'll tell you this. In all the years I've been doing this, I have never that I ever remember had a student come to me angry saying, well, it's not fair. They got an A and I got a B. I think you should give me it. Yeah, it's never happened because I don't grade subjectively. I follow the rules of mathematics. I have had students say, I don't understand why I got a B. Okay, that's very legitimate. Let's sit down and talk about the grades. And if I find out I made a mistake, I'll correct it. No problem at all. Remember, if you cheat, you fail, don't do it. Okay, cell phones, pager recorders. I left it in because, again, I don't know where you're doing things. Like I said the word lecture there, but this is more like in those Teams appointments, or, if we have something like that going on, just be, again, polite. Recordings. I left it in here because we have to have it in our syllabi, even though we don't have recordings if this is recording. But there is like state law on it now. And so I put in the state law here for you. Talking in class. Again, this is more like, if we have a Teams meetings, that kind of idea, be polite. Extra credit, I'll have it on examinations. That's the only place you're going to see it. So don't demand it. It's happened before. You're not going to get it. It's not fair if you get something and your colleagues don't. So please don't do that. General announcements. Please be aware to check them regularly, every day, including on class days. Always do that. I know I already talked about this at length, but again, if you have any questions, let me know. Important notes. Bear in mind, I'm not a medical doctor. So whenever we're talking about something, even if it's a discussion board, our Teams appointment, office hours, remember, I'm not a medical doctor. My background is biology, which is mainly ecology and zoology and geology. Those are my main backgrounds. This course is like written for me in that regard. Love it. But I'm not a medical doctor. But medical issues pop up all the time. This is biology. Don't make me out ever to be a personal medical doctor. It's happened before, more times than you can imagine. It's not appropriate. I'm not going to answer the question first off. I'm not qualified to answer that. Second, you really should go find a board certified medical doctor. And I strongly enforce that board certified to answer that question. If you're gone, come talk to me. Again, I'll tell you what's going on, that kind of idea. Disabilities. I have all the contact information right here. Lovely people. If you need accommodations, you must talk to them first. You cannot send me an email saying, I need 5 hours for a test. Okay. By state law, I cannot do anything for you until you talk to them. Then they send me out the paperwork. Once I get it from them, then I'll be able to do whatever they request of me. I don't care. I'll do whatever they want. I just have to have this first. Here's all their contact information. Go talk to them and work everything out with them. Remember, HEC should be a comfortable place to be. I mean that seriously. Including these discussion boards. You should not feel harassed at any time. I'll obviously see the discussion. So, if somebody says I'm being harassed, I can go look right there. Oh, yeah, oh my gosh. I will deal with it. I'm not shy. So one thing that's amazing about HEC, notice they offer free counseling services. They do it through Baycare. This is amazing. Health insurance is hard enough to get, and there are people trying to take away health insurance as we speak, which is mind-boggling. And even if you have health insurance, getting things done, massively expensive in this culture, which is a whole other discussion. So I'll give you a case in point. One of my very good friends has been going through a really bad time for a couple of years now. Love her to death. She's amazing. She ended up spending 2 weeks at an inpatient center in Georgia, near Atlanta. It wasn't like a psychiatric institute. It was like, come here, relax, let's see what's going on, that kind of idea. She spent 2 weeks there. She's saying, yeah, the 2 weeks there cost her $130,000 US. She didn't have insurance. $130,000 US. I am roughly $130,000 short of that. I don't know how she's going to deal with it. She's a good friend of mine, but I've never asked her how she deals with it. I mean, I generally know, but I just didn't feel right asking her, where are you going to get the money? And I did never ask her that. But my gosh, can you imagine that? And that was the first place she went. She went to another place after that. And of course, as is common, for hers, it was addiction to pills. She is now with a psychologist, a psychiatrist, which is actually in today's world, not a bad thing to be with. I've been reading articles about COVID, how COVID is dealing with things here. I still see articles talking about how mental health issues are skyrocketing in the US. I saw one paper not too long ago that noted mental health issues in the US have gone up by 800% since COVID in 2019 started, really as it really came to bear in early 2020. 800%. The world was messed up enough before COVID. Look where we are now. So it's not a bad idea to talk to somebody. In fact, today's world, stigmas are still out there. I'll leave that to you. But in today's world, it's considered a mark of health to talk to somebody when you need to. And most of us need to talk to somebody about something at some point. Welcome to being alive, right? This is free. Free to be able to talk to a professional about anything, work, school, money, relationships, whatever you need to talk to them about, to talk to them. I feel so bad for my colleague. She did the right thing. My colleague, I mean, she's my friend. She did the right thing. She went and got help. 130,000 just for the first place. This is free. So use it if you need to. And I would recommend connect this with this. speak up HCC. This is meant to keep you safe at the college. If you ever hear somebody threatening themselves, the college, a faculty member, staff, students, whatever, this is meant for you to be able to say, hey, I heard this, and to get that person the help they need. Protect them as well as protecting you and the college. I've seen it in action. There was a student of mine, I think it was environmental science, it's been quite a few years, a number of years ago now. He was interesting, but he wasn't threatening me. He was threatening the college, directly threatening them. And he just disappeared. One day he was there, next day he was gone. I later found out, because we're not told these things. When we get disability zones, I have no idea what the disability is about, nor should I. It's none of my business. But I found out later that he had schizophrenia and he stopped taking his medicine and it was not going well. And so apparently what happened, they got him the help he needed. He was gone for like a semester or two, and then he just reappeared. He came back, continued on his way, and as far as I know from that point of view, he did just fine. That's what this is designed for, to keep that person, staff, students, faculty, the college generally safe, to keep everybody safe. This is not meant to be abused. Don't say, well, I don't like that person, I'm going to call him and get him in trouble. No, they're going to find out that they didn't do anything, and then maybe you get in trouble. So please don't do that. Please don't abuse this. It's meant to help. All right, the equity, actually I've been talking about this, the equity statement all the way through. It should be a comfortable place to be. You shouldn't be harassed about anybody about anything. If something's going on, here's the link to deal with it. You can talk to me too. I'll help you out. I'll be happy to help you. You should never feel uncomfortable in my class or anybody's class, that kind of idea. Okay, the tentative schedule. Now I left this in here, even though we're not having lectures, because I don't know what's going to happen in those pandemics, fires, storms, terrorist threats, emergencies, all sorts of things happen, which can get in the way of the schedule. When I first started teaching in college 2 decades ago, I didn't know any of this. There's no class to take. So I just had a schedule, and it was quickly made apparent to me. Nothing happened, but quickly pointed out, you should really make that tentative because of. My God, they were right. Okay. And like I noted then, check your announcements regularly, every single day, including weekends. You should be checking this, not just for my class, for every class. But because it's a DLON, especially with lecture, it's really easy for me to get behind a lecture because I don't just get up and read slides. I didn't even know that was a kind of pedagogy, to get up and read slides. I guess here would be andragogy, the teaching of adults, but I guess some faculty do that. They get up and just read slides to you, and that's it. That's a lecture. Maybe I was lucky when I was in school because I never had a teacher do that really. So I didn't even know it existed. So I mean, I don't. I get up and I actually talk about the stuff. So because I do that and I allow for questions, it can easily get backed up in subject matter. Take a little bit more time, an extra day or two to get through something, that kind of idea, which gets in the way of the tentative schedule. That won't be an issue here, which means in this kind of class, I can easily say, okay, the exam will be on this date because I'm not giving any lectures. This is really on you to read your book, read your notes, do the labs, ask questions, do the discussion, that kind of idea. So tomorrow, hopefully now when you're watching this, today, there's your orientation video. You have a quiz scheduled for the 19th of this month. Yeah, so right here, Canvas, quizzes, oh my. Now, I've already made your exams, they're ready to go. Right down here, extra credit quiz, January 19th, notice it opens at 9 a.m. It closes at 11:59 p.m. You get 15 minutes for this. So I don't think you can see anything. If you click on that, there's instructions here. And it says right there it is. You will get 15 minutes to take the test. Okay, so there are instructions there. Now, right now I have it at 10 questions. Actually, when I was talking, I thought about a question I might add in, but you have more minutes than questions on this exam. But I still hold to what I said. You should only be giving yourself about 30 seconds a question on a general test. And then exam 1 is currently scheduled February 23rd, and that kind of idea. So on February 23rd, there's your first exam, which means after your quiz on the syllabus, the email you will send me by the 22nd, and labs 1 to 4. That needs to be done on your own. I mean, I might put posting up. Certainly don't forget to check the, check the additional files lab. Don't forget to do that. So let's go back to our files. There it goes. Right there, don't forget for every lab you're gonna do, check your files. So right here, the first lab, photosynthesis scientific method. So you go into the manual, you'll find it, read the lab, do the lab, but don't forget to always check. That first lab has some supplemental notes, like I showed you earlier, but we can look at it again. And you'll go through and do that. There's that virtual thing I was showing you, with the Lodi of the plant and the bubbles, that kind of idea. Cool. And then whenever you're ready, you'll do lab 2 and lab 3 and lab 4. Now I put dates on here. Those were suggestions to do it. I was doing it more to like space it out. So you're not trying to do like 4 labs in one night. suggestions. But all of that needs to be done along with all the other homework by the day of the test, which is on the 23rd, February 23rd, mind you, by 11 to 9 p.m. You get again an hour and 40 minutes for it. And just to be nice to you, I told you what it was, chapters 1 to 4, the first 4 chapters of your book, these 4 labs, and I even wrote out the names of the chapters here for you so you don't have confusion on what's on the exam. And then same thing for exam 2, same thing for your last exam. And you can see when the final is set by the college, the 4th of May. Again, I open it up at 9 a.m. and close at 11:59 p.m. You're already seeing all of that. Let's back it, keep pulling it on accident. You're already seeing all of that right here in the quizzes tab of your Canvas page. Oh, quizzes. This is the grade book. Obviously, there's nothing there right now, but I meant to hit quizzes. Let's go to quizzes. There we go. It's right there. So there's the quiz you're going to take by the 29th, not available until January 19th. So not 29th, I mean the 19th. Not available until January 19th at 9 a.m. Exam 1, February 23rd, opens at 9 a.m. Exam 2, March 28th, opens at 9 a.m. And the final, May 4th, opens at 9 a.m. Remember, once you start the test, you can take it one time and you get an hour and 40 minutes for it. And that's it. You can't start it and stop and come back later. That's not how it works. Sorry about that. And then last but not least, in your syllabus, you have your frequently asked questions. These are the questions I get over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so read through them. If you have any questions on it, of course, let me know. So there you go. There's your book in its entirety, which of course is under the files, under your syllabus. And I already showed you everything. Again, there's your lectures. Every lecture I would have given to you, they're all here. These are the summaries again. Make sure you know this is where I get all my graded questions, that kind of idea. And of course, those additional files, one last time, that they are. Again, these are the supplements to any lab that needs it. Now, the discussions, again, I will not open until we start having discussions on Fridays. I'll post on it for you guys to talk about. This is, again, student-driven. I'm more the moderator as much as I can around my other classes and duties and everything. If something happens, I'll see it. But, you know, if something happens, you can always email me and, of course, alert me to an issue that's going on. There's your quizzes again, grades again. You have your own grade view, just you. Right now, there's nothing in here. But you can see what we're doing. There's extra credit quiz and test 1 and test 2 and test 3, you know, that kind of idea. It's all there. As you take the test, they'll auto-populate, that kind of idea. Bear in mind, these are raw scores that go in. Any extra credit that I have, this is very laborious. I have to take my time to go into every single test, so every student in every test, and manually grade every extra credit. It takes a long time, and I have no help. I don't have any helper that comes in and does this for all of my many classes and students. So it takes time to do it. Bear in mind then, these are going to be initially the raw scores. And once I have time to do the extra credit, I'll let you know, add that in. But you have your own view of the grade book. And then of course, I showed you, this should be Macmillan, I believe is correct. Yeah, Macmillan, so this is right. And then I put it here just to have it here, in case you ever want it, a link to the HSC libraries, in case you ever want to use it. So there you go. There is the course in a nutshell. Now, granted, this is all the faculty view. I can't show you the student view. It's not much. Like I said, for example, the gradebook, this is kind of what you're going to see. Right now, notice you don't see discussion yet because I haven't done anything. Once I do, you'll see that listed here on your links. But obviously the home page, the analysis page, files, everything I showed you before. This is your view of the gradebook. Of course, you only see your grades. There you go. So, you know, it'll populate out as you do things, you know, how you get things. You should never have to ask me, you know, what did I get on this test? Because Canvas does that for you. And just, it's not a big deal. There's the link to book. Right now, you don't have anything there because you haven't registered yet. Some kind of idea. And of course, that link to the library. There you go. It's all here. Right. So let me go back to my view, the faculty view. And there you go. Well, as I was saying, then welcome to the course. I hope you enjoy it. It's an amazing field, a very topical field, to say the least. Again, my point of this is to teach you the science. So feel free. I want it to be an enjoyable experience, a comfortable one, free of stress from others, that kind of idea. So be nice to each other, that sort of issue, and just learn the science, and then go off and do whatever you want. Again, my job is to teach it to you, and then you can do what you like with the information. So beyond that, it is very nice to meet you all. If you have any questions, start with those emails, that kind of idea, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. If you want to pop by during an office hour, feel free. Beyond that, it's lovely to meet you and hopefully hear from you soon. Bye, everybody. Have a great, great day. Bye. Wow.